that you're gonna be still in love with. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Auntie. You made it work, Auntie. Thank you so much.
All right.
Can everybody come up here for 1 minute? We'll let y'all go right back to your tables in 1 minute. Everybody gather around 1 moment, please. Please, 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 please. Can everybody please come up this way 1 time? Y'all enjoying the music? DJ Philly Mac is here playing music for us. Now, I know y'all saw him already. He was here earlier performing for y'all. But y'all, we want to make sure he become our next mayor of Cleveland, y'all. Y'all put your hands together, y'all, and we welcome Basheer Jones to the stage, y'all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. You know, you gotta let her have fun sometimes. You know, everything going on in the world. So I know you heard my amazing singing. So if there's anybody that need anybody singing at weddings or bar mitzvahs, whatever, I'll do it all. You know, but we're here for a very special reason. First and foremost, we thank the Creator for another day of life. And the fact is that the fact that we are still here means our purpose has not been fulfilled as of yet. And what I love about this crowd is that this is America. This is America. And what we are striving to accomplish is not a one community problem. It's a multicultural, multi-religious, multi-socioeconomic status. We all have a part to play in making sure that human beings do better than what they're doing today. And I want to say to you that it's an honor to be out here at this beautiful place. And I didn't know that, you know, I was reading the Forest Hill Estate and John D. Rockefeller. This is all, I didn't know that. Man, I didn't know that. Majority of you did. Okay, so thanks a lot. I didn't know that. So it's so beautiful. It just made me think to myself, like, wow, John D. Rockefeller, who has been gone for many years, we are still being impacted by what he put in place. And that's what life is all about. Life is not about what we're going to do today, but the seeds that we plant for somebody to benefit tomorrow. And that's the reason why I'm supporting Shontel. Shontel is a person who I've seen personally be in places fighting for things that no one could imagine any elected official being there. I don't even know why I was there. But I've seen her in places. I've seen her fighting. And many of you out here can relate to that. Many of you have personal relationships with Shontel. So when people are saying, and you have all of this loud noise from outside of the 11th district, people who are outside of Ohio, people who are outside of our culture here in Ohio, you and I, we listen to this and we say, we don't even know what you're talking about. If you're from the Ohio 11th district, you know the people who are doing the work. You know it. You've seen them, and you've seen them consistently do the work and not take any breaks. And that's who Shontel is. Shontel is a person who's been a fighter. She is someone who has fought for all of us. She doesn't care if you come from Huff or Cleveland Heights. She don't care if you come from Glenville or Cam's Corner. All she cares about is if she can fight for your life to be better. And I want to say to you, before I bring up this amazing woman, that she has fought for us, and it's time for us to fight for her. We need to help her, help us, help all of us. And we need for her to be in D.C. If you agree with that, make some noise right now. Make some noise. We need for her to be in D.C. We saw what she did in Cuyahoga County. You saw what she did in Warrensville. You saw what she did at leading the Cuyahoga County Party. You saw that. You saw it with your own eyes. So we cannot let her down, because if she has the opportunity, when she has the opportunity to go to D.C., we know what she's going to do there. We know that she's going to represent for all of us, not for some. Let me say this again. Because you cannot be an elected official and only fight for some. You got to fight for all. You have to be willing to work with all. You can't say these type of words, man, that is not the words of spiritual people. Listen, let me say this. We all got issues. If you say you don't, lie in your issues. So we all got some problems that we dealing with and struggles. But if we were perfect, then what would be the reason for God? Right? So we understand that in our imperfect self, we have the ability to still make a change. So without further ado, we know that she is the right person for the right time. And it's important for us not just to come and vote by yourself. I need you to call your cousin, your uncle, your nephew, your auntie. At least bring 20 people with you to the polls. If we want to see this district truly become the national stage and follow in the footsteps of my mama, Marsha Fudge, if you want to see somebody follow in those footsteps and be a true leader for all people, no matter where you come from, we're going to vote for who? For who? I need them to hear you on Huff, okay? We're going to vote for who? Without further ado, make some noise for our next congressperson, Shontel Brown.
All right, y'all. Good afternoon. Okay, all right. Now, when I say good afternoon, I expect a hearty response, so I'm going to try this one more time. Good afternoon. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Thank you for making the time to come out today. I have to thank Joe, Mossbrook, the Dows, Kenny and Yvonne, and Angie for putting this event together today. Give them a round of applause. I have to thank my political brother, my spiritual brother, my baby brother, Basheer Jones, Councilman Basheer Jones. Give it up for him. Councilman candidate for mayor. But again, that is my brother. We share the leadership and mentorship and friendship of Secretary Fudge, and so I could not have received a greater introduction, so thank you. I want to tell a little bit about myself and how I got into this crazy world of politics. Many of you know this, but there are some folks here that don't know my story, so I want to make sure they know who they have standing before them. I share this story because I think it gives you some good insight to what you can expect from me in the future. So I found myself at my very first city council meeting. It was 2011, youngest homeowner on my street, surrounded by seniors and retirees. And what led me to that city council meeting was because I wanted to know where we would go in the event of an emergency. Now, it might sound like a strange question, but the reason the question occurred is because of the earthquake tragedy that had struck in Japan at the time. It was a repetitive news cycle, a lot like what we saw with the condo collapse. And so I said to myself, what would happen? How would I get my neighbors to safety? And so I found myself at my local city council meeting, and I got the answer that I was looking for, but something said, Shontel, keep going so you can learn about what's happening in your neighborhood. And what I learned was, like many of our communities, there was some room for improvement. So rather than complain, I am a person that believes in being the change that you want to see. So I rolled up my sleeves, pounded the pavement, knocked on doors, and introduced myself to my neighbors. And I said, I would like to be your city council person. Well, when I said that, they said, well, young lady, what can you do about these tree branches that needed to be trimmed, and these sewers that need to be cleaned, and these potholes that need to be filled? And I said, well, okay, let me see what I can do. So as I was going to the meetings, the administration took notice, and they said to me, Shontel, if you need some help out there, let us know. Well, obviously I did. So I shared with them the concerns of my neighbors, and guess what? Things started happening. And I wasn't even elected. So I was feeling pretty good about life. Things are going my way. So fast forward, election day comes, the polls close, and I was down by 6 votes. 6 votes. Down but not out. Disappointed but not devastated. As a child of faith, I've never been shy about my faith. As a child of faith, I said, okay, God, I trust your infinite wisdom. Maybe this isn't for me. And I was actually convinced I would never run for public office again. It's Sunday. Does anybody have a but God in their spirit? But God. So 11 days later, I learned that there were 23 provisional ballots in my race and that I had won by 7 votes. 7 votes. 7 votes. Can anybody say 7? Okay, so that 7 has been so significant to me because as a child of faith, 7 represents perfection, completion, and God. So I often credit this journey of public service to His divine intervention, grace, mercy, and favor. And so that has been the moral compass, the guiding force, and the foundation in this work that I intentionally describe as public service. It has never left my mind that I work for you, I work for you, I work for you. It has been abundantly clear to me I've been put in this position to serve the people, and I've never lost sight of that. So fast forward 2014, an opportunity comes to get promoted, as I like to describe it. The legendary C. Ellen Connolly, first Cuyahoga County Council president and judge, was retiring. And so my name was thrown in the paper, and I didn't know about county council. It was the new government that had been formed. So I approached my friend, Mayor Sellers, at the time, and I said, well, what do you think about me running for this position? Does anyone know Mayor Sellers out there? Raise your hand. So I said, Mayor Sellers, what do you think about me running for this position? He said, well, Shontel, I think you'd be good for it, but you need to call Marsha Fudge first. So I reached out to Congresswoman Fudge, very nervous, and said, hi, Congresswoman, I'm thinking about running for this position. She said, well, if Mayor Sellers supports you, then you'll have my support. Well, let me tell you, this race turned out a lot different than my first. Instead of 3 people, now there's 6. They're more qualified, more educated, more money, more experience, more of everything. But with a lot of hard work and a lot of favor, we won that race with 48% of the votes. So rest assured, I know how to run in crowded races and win, all right? So this isn't exactly foreign territory for me. So fast forward 2017, now I get a call from then Congresswoman Fudge. And she says, Shontel, I want you to think about something. And it's okay if you say no. I said, well, what is it? I want you to consider running for Democratic Party chair. Now, it's an unpaid position. Say what now? So I thought about it, because I saw it as an opportunity to empower people, to help them understand their political capital. So I prayed about it, sought the consultation of people that I know, love, and trust, and they said, Shontel, we think you'd be great and you have our support, you should go for it. So I approached it with the same vigor and diligence you see me working with today. I reached out to over 700 members of the Cuyahoga County Democratic Party to seek and earn their vote. I'm proud to say in 2017 I made history when I became the first woman elected and the first black person elected to lead the largest Democratic Party in the state of Ohio. Now, we are not the most populous county, okay? So when we are able to deliver the most votes from the precinct to the presidency under my leadership, I take a little personal pride in that. So now, fast forward, I'm doing this thing, I'm leading the party, and I'm a county council person. A constituent comes in and says, Shontel, the hearing impaired community has no way to communicate in an emergency situation. They can't call 911 like we do. Introduce the concept of text 911. I took the baton and ran with it because that was an issue that was important enough for me to say, even though this person doesn't live in my district, it will help 25,000 people who have this condition. So we modernized the text 911 messaging system, and that not only helped them, but people in hostage situations, women in domestic violence relationships who can't call 911 but have used the text 911 messaging platform to be rescued. The other thing that I like to tell folks about is in 2020 I passed legislation to declare racism as a public health crisis. This was not a result of the pandemic nor the tragic killing of George Floyd. This work was initiated because of the infant mortality crisis that we experience here. We have third world infant mortality rates with first class hospitals. It just does not make sense. Why is it that black women are 3 to 5 times more likely than our Caucasian counterparts to have complications during pregnancy, or that our babies are unable to live beyond their first birthday? So the research shows, and that started in 2016, that it was racism. So that concept of racism as a public health crisis is based on many things, but long story short, it's weathering. Just because of the issues around education, weathering. Criminal justice reform, weathering. Affordable housing, weathering. It beats up on the body and causes toxic stress. So how do we do that? How do we change this? Declaring racism as a public health crisis was more than a symbolic gesture. We included those statistical data points so that we can be sure to receive the resources, the funding, and support to reverse decades of discrimination in the Black community. And I'm proud to say, despite being the Democratic Party chairperson, I was able to get that done with bipartisan support. Bipartisan support, done unanimously. So why Congress, why now? Well, I'm glad you asked. All right. So I'm the only candidate in this race with any legislative experience during the most turbulent, troublesome times in our nation's recent history. Having overseen over $200 million in how it will be allocated to hospitals, small businesses, rental assistance programs, food banks, but most notably, when our students had to transition from the classroom to virtual learning, they could not access the internet due to digital redlining. So it was me that proposed $1.5 million be set aside so they could get free Wi-Fi hotspots. I'm proud to say the Cleveland Foundation matched those funds, and along with PCs for People, we were able to provide laptops, free Wi-Fi hotspots for 5,000 students for 2 years. So the stuff I've been doing, it's not sexy. It doesn't get a lot of headlines, but I don't do it for that. I do it because I want to make headway, not headlines. If you want somebody that's going to give you lip service instead of public service, then I'm not your candidate. I've been working hard to deliver results, not rhetoric. So when you talk about a person that is ready to go to work on day one, I've been representing people from the inner city to the outer ring suburbs for the last 6.5 years as Cuyahoga County Council person. So my district stretches from the most impoverished to some of the most affluent, and I am ready to represent them on day one. So if you think this district deserves someone with the courage of a Lou Stokes, who demanded that we have reflective representation in our government, I've done that when I declared racism as a public health crisis. If you think this district deserves someone who had a connection to the community like a Stephanie Tubbs Jones, who had a magnetic personality and an infectious smile, that could get her into any room, from the hood to the heights, from the streets to the suites, from the penthouse to the projects. And not only when they got into the room, she made sure that we had a seat at the table so that we, the collective we, were not on the menu. Then I've been doing that. And if you think we have to have someone that has the competence, the character, and compassion of a Marsha Fudge, who has been elevated to the cabinet because she has been working so hard to make headway and not headlines, then I am your person. So I'm asking you right now, we are in the heat of this election. It is a dead heat. And so I need you to make sure that if you haven't voted already, because early voting started July 7th, and if you haven't been paying attention, that's 2 7s. So that's reaffirming for me. But early voting has already begun. I challenge you, and I beg of you, and I plead you, and I implore you, do not wait. Do not wait to cast your ballot. We had a governor who shut our primary down last year due to the COVID-19 virus. And with this Delta variant on the rise, we cannot take any chances. So the voting hours have been extended to 7 o'clock down at the Board of Elections. Now you may know this, there are about 12 other folks running for this very same seat. And it's coming down to 2 women. But the only name you need to remember is Shontel Brown for Congress, Shontel Brown for Congress, Shontel Brown for Congress. God bless y'all. Thank you for coming out today. Enjoy the festivities. I'll be around to take pictures and talk to folks to answer any personal questions. So thank you, 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 thank you.